What'd you think about this volume, Ashes? Huh? Did you like it? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Attack on Titan review of volume 29 that I just finished, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around everything that's happening in it. And holy crap, this volume took me by surprise in many different ways. I was not expecting the Marley attack that happened. I thought that was going to come a little bit later. I thought they were going to build to that a little bit more, and then it comes out of, well, not nowhere, but it just hits you over the face like so many things in this series does. Very good about just throwing those hype moments at you just out of nowhere where you're not expecting it. It's one of the things that this series does very, very well, is just to kind of throw you into the midst of just chaos, just seemingly out of nowhere. So I thought that was fantastic. Also, this volume actually does probably have my favorite Eren moment so far, which was when Pieck, or Peak, I can't remember her name, she's the cart titan, where she kind of infiltrates and she holds a gun up to his head as he's talking to Gabby, and Eren basically looks at her with a blank face being like, I know you're not going to shoot me for several reasons. He's like, I know this situation too well. You are not going to breach this military protocol. You don't have permission to shoot me. You don't have permission to take over the founding titan. You're supposed to bring me back, yada yada yada. He knows he's in this position of power against her, and so he has no threat whatsoever against Pieck holding a gun up against his head. So actually, of all the Eren moments that have happened so far, I know that there's been some big ones. This one really just struck with me just for, I think it's just like the pure confidence that he had within the situation. I think it was just that, like, you have zero power over me. There's literally no, I don't give a shit like what kind of threat you're trying to make. It's just one of those kind of like really badass moments. But let me backtrack a little bit first and just talk about the beginning of this volume with the aftermath of the explosion that Zeke caused, causing Levi to kind of get thrown through the air. I don't know if Levi is actually dead. He was picked up by Hange and she was holding him and she said that he was dead, but she could have just been saying that because the other members that they were with were, again, part of this whole Jaegerist kind of infiltration group, and so she might have just been wanting to give them the idea, the impression that Levi was dead, or he could just actually be dead because he was caught in an explosion. His face was all bloody and battered, and until, you know, it makes that kind of cut that Attack on Titan does a lot, where it just kind of cuts immediately to something like horrific, or cuts to, you know, a gravestone or something like, and until it does something like that, I'm not going to believe that Levi is actually dead yet. But I also want to say that I wouldn't put it past the series to kill him off in this way, considering, again, that I feel like we're heading towards the final stretch of everything that's happening right now in the story. That now would be an okay time to kill him off. I don't want to see Levi die because he is one of my favorite characters, but considering where we are in the story right now, I think it would make some logical sense if you're going to do a big character to death to do it now. And to also sometimes, you know, sometimes I think it's good to do character deaths in a way where it's not so like grandiose, like they died a hero kind of thing. Sometimes when you take a character out by something like that, like just an explosion, or even the way that Sasha was killed, something like that, I think it does have a pretty powerful impact just on its own. It doesn't have to be this big like plot changing moment if you want to get across the fact that this is war and people die in unexpected ways, and people die in ways that you don't want them to. And regardless of all the things that they've done leading up to that point, sometimes, you know, we're still human beings, we're still fragile, and we're still subject to whatever happens kind of around us. So in a way, these kind of deaths are more powerful in their own kind of narrative way. But then we get this moment with Zeke, and I'm trying to piece together what I think is happening here. I don't know if it's been explained yet in the series, but as far as like reading up to volume 29, so he's, you know, been caught in this explosion and his body is basically in pieces, and this Titan walks up, just a random Titan, and like opens its stomach, freaking you know, Star Wars Hoth Empire Strikes Back style, like the Tauntaun, and shoves him in there. And this was done, I feel like, either one of two ways. Like, one was just the fact to hide him so that when people came around they didn't see the Zeke's body and whatnot, and two was like to actually get him to a place where he could like revive, because he goes into this weird sort of haze in his own mind where he's staring at the flowers and stuff, he's staring at the ground, and then he kind of gets flashed into this area where he's like covered with sand, and he meets this little girl who looks like an older time person, like years ago. So you know how the Titans are all connected, like all their memories are connected throughout time and whatnot. There's this kind of like connected consciousness in between everybody that's been a Titan. So I feel like this was either a flash, or him flashing back to like those memories of whatnot, of perhaps the creation of the first Beast Titan, and perhaps it was created by the original Ymir. Ymir being the girl that made a deal with the devil that created the Titans to begin with. So there's that this could be Ymir. Maybe all the Titans weren't created just instantly like that. Maybe it just wasn't like bam, 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 all the Titans exist. Maybe Ymir physically actually kind of created the Titans, like built them out of sand and whatnot. You know, there's talks like that in, if you go back to like the Bible and stuff like that, or, you know, creating Eve out of a rib and shit like that. I don't know if that has like anything to do with Attack on Titan, but I'm just saying, like, the idea of creating, you know, taking something simplistic, you know, like sand and whatnot, and then creating something out of it in like sort of a, you know, religious sense. And in a way, you know, the Titans are kind of like that kind of mythological, almost like larger than life, very even, you know, religious in a way. And so maybe to revive himself, maybe to help heal himself, he kind of had to transfer back to that like a beginning stages of the very first Beast Titan being created by Ymir. I don't know if that's true. That is just my theory that I'm going with. The only other theory that I could think of is that maybe he's seeing, again, like instead of the past, maybe he's seeing the future. So instead of this being the original Ymir, maybe he is seeing a cycle in which, you know, the Titans are created again. So even if him and Eren continue this plan of wanting to make it so that none of the Titans are ever born, maybe this is a child in the future that does the same thing and is able to create the Titans anyway. So maybe there really is no stopping the Titans no matter what they do. You know, so he could have been seeing the future, he could have been seeing the past. Either or, I think it has something to do with that. As for the Titan that grabs him and puts him in the stomach, instead of just, I thought this Titan was going to eat him at first. I was like, oh, that would be so fucked up, that like, you know, the key to everything is Zeke having royal blood, and then he gets eaten by a random freaking ass Titan that then is going to have the Beast Titan powers like somewhere else. So like, I thought that was going to be what was happening. It wasn't. But as far as this Titan being controlled to do that, again, it could have had something to do with like messages across time. Like maybe the original Ymir knew this was going to happen, or, you know, maybe it just sensed something in, because, you know, every once in a while there was a Titan, like in like the very beginning of the series, there was a Titan that spoke randomly, just a few words, you know. He was like, oh, Ymir or something, like he was able to say something. So I feel like every once in a while with one of the random Titans, not the main 9, but just the regular ones, I feel like every once in a while there is something within them that kind of sparks for a moment to do something that they're supposed to do, or like to do, you know, just to have these kind of like conscious moments. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like the series has implied enough to where that could possibly be true. Anyways, whatever the case, Hange takes Levi out of there. She jumps in the river. We don't see them the rest of the volume. And Zeke is back, and he starts to head towards where Eren is, and that's where all the shit goes down. So Piek has made it into the Shingashira district, as well as, you know, pretty much all these other Marleyan characters come to infiltrate with their blimps. Is how they're coming in. They're dropping people in, and so everyone is here. And one thing I thought was so freaking badass. This was crazy. This moment was crazy. So like Eren leads Piek up to the top of this rooftop, and he handcuffs her to Gabby so that she won't transform, because if she did, you know, Gabby would freaking die. And he's like, all right, so you're just gonna point out where all the other traitors are, where all the other infiltrators are, and then we're gonna handle this. And she makes a signal pointing to Eren, like, you're the enemy, you're the bad one. And then from underneath the freaking building, the Jaw Titan pops up, basically in this perfect position to where he could eat Eren. And obviously that wasn't going to happen, considering, you know, he's the main character of the story and everything. But just like the very fact that he was in that vulnerable position even for a second was just absolutely crazy. Yelena is telling him to get out of there, you know, everything. We got to keep you safe. We got to make sure you meet up with Zeke. And Eren's just like, fuck that shit. I'm going to fight these bastards right here and right now. Like, once again, he sees Reiner. Reiner's coming in from one of the blimps. He transforms. Eren's like, let's do this. And they have a another battle. Eren and freaking Reiner have fought each other so much. It's just basically like the ultimate rivalry of this series. It's the Goku and Vegeta of Attack on Titan. Little side moment I really liked too was when Pieck looked to the Jaw Titan and was like, hey, yo, I'm handcuffed to this girl, and he just instantly cuts it off, and she was able to disregard herself from Gabby. Like, she literally cuts her hand off so that she can go transform, and then she does her, you know, cart Titan thing where she sits at a distance and starts firing blasts, you know, at Eren, and we have this big kind of drawn out like giant Titan battle that's happening right now with Eren versus Reiner and sorry, what's his name? Galliard, I think, is the Jaw Titan, and he's using, what I really like too is that he is able to use the attack and the Warhammer powers at the same time. Because I was a little confused, you know, if you have multiple Titans in you, if you could only like transform as one at a time. But it looks like he's in the form of the attack, but he still uses the abilities of the Warhammer. Or maybe I'm wrong about that, because like the spike thing, I feel like that was a Warhammer thing. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I don't know. So anyways, while all this is going on, the only other thing that is probably important to talk about is that the Survey Corp team, our whole like original team, or what's left of them, with Mikasa, Armin, Jean, Connie, you know, they're all in this prison cell, and Yelena was explaining to them the plan of what they're going to do, how they're going to make it so that, you know, no Eldian can give birth anymore, and that will kind of end the Titan line, or so they think. And they're saying that that was Zeke's plan, and that she, you know, admires Zeke, and she's a follower of Zeke and everything like that. And so she, you know, she idolizes this guy and his plan to help save the Eldians. This is how they plan to save them. Armin makes the comment that perhaps Eren is just going along with her plan, and that he actually has a little bit something different in mind when he actually gets to the point where he can do this, when he can kind of enact this whatever plan is between him and Zeke. And he was saying that, you know, maybe he lied to Mikasa when he said that she was kind of bound by her own chemistry, brain chemistry, biology, whatever it is, to defend Eren at all costs. You know, he was saying like he knows everything about you, like we grew up together. He's using the fact that you have headaches and stuff like that. He's using that against you to kind of push us away. That was something that I sort of theorized in the last volume, but again, I don't know how true that is, because I feel like, see, we've talked about this lineage and this connectedness between the Titans, of all the different lines of Titans that have been passed down in the future, present, yada yada. Like, it's all one thing, right? It's all just one circle, and whoever has it at the time, you know, can pinpoint all these other things that have happened, and perhaps they're influenced by the original idea or original design of what the Titans were supposed to be. So I feel like, though Eren seems to be beyond it, I don't know how beyond it he actually is. Like, I feel like he's still being drawn towards something because of having the founding Titan within him and the other Titans in him also. They're released from the jail by the one character, I can't remember his name, but he is the one that, of course, helped supply them with New World technology and everything like that they've been working on for the past 4 years. And now that they're out, I mean, they all kind of have different desires and motivations. So you have Armin, who like wants to figure out what Eren's real reason is for doing what he's doing. You have Mikasa, who's symbolizing, you know, taking the scarf away and saying, you know, maybe she's just going to do this on her own. Perhaps she's going to just figure out her own plan of what she wants to have happen, and not worry so much about this protecting Eren thing that she's done basically her entire life. You've got Jean, who doesn't want Eren to die yet, who actually admits that he's been jealous of him this entire time, so that's something as well. And then you have Connie, who's just pissed off about everybody betraying him all the time, and Connie is kind of the unsung hero of Attack on Titan. He's never had a real moment to shine other than just commenting on stuff, so I hope that he gets to do something here as the series goes on. He's kind of the Yamcha of Attack on Titan, you know what I mean? Like, he keeps getting the shaft, and he hasn't had his moment to shine in quite a while, so, or ever, really. So, yeah, I feel like he needs to have something happen. Anyway, so they're all heading to battle, and so, yeah, so there's just so much crazy shit happening right now. I think the other thing to talk about is Gabby, who's kind of come around and realized, because of her experiences here in Eldia, you know, she's come to realize that, you know, we aren't really that different from each other. The only thing that's different is who has power and who wants power and who's being subjugated and who's not. You know, they're all human, Marley and Eldian, whatever it is. And she states that. It's a bit blunt, but it's very true, and it's something that she's been able to learn over this time. And to me, it just encapsulates what Attack on Titan as a series is, because I always said that it's a series about war, but I think even more than that, it's a series about understanding that war tries to paint things in a black and white nature, like we are the heroes, they are the enemies, us against them. It's a very like 50-50 thing, the way that war is presented and painted, but everybody involved in war is a human being, and human beings are very complex and have different layers, and they're individualistic, you know. So you have people that are very complex, that are dealing with different ideas and emotions and everything that's going on within them, and you plug them into a situation where you're supposed to think about it in a black and white fashion, and it just does not work. And that's why war is messy and complicated and horrifying and full of tragedy and death, and it's just because you can't do that. You can't take people as complex as a human being and put them in that situation, unless of course you brainwash them for years and years beforehand, which is also something that's talked about in this series. So anyway, so yeah, we're gonna see what happens with Gabby. She's still on the streets during this whole kind of infiltration thing that's happening. Also, Zeke has arrived at the top of the walls, and Eren is trying to get to him. And at the very, very end of this volume, the very last chapter, Zeke gets hit with a cannon from the cart Titan, and he falls off the wall, lands on the ground, and is kind of subject now to whatever happens to him. Whoever gets there first, if somebody takes Zeke out and eats him, takes the power away before Eren can get there. So there's a lot riding on what happens to Zeke's body now, and I can't wait to check it out. I told you guys that I would probably do a live reaction of volume 30, considering of where this volume ended. I probably will do that, and I'll try to let you know a little bit ahead of time when that's going to be. I'll do it probably on like a live stream instead. I think that would be more fun. That way you guys can kind of let me know like the shit that I'm missing as I'm missing, like fill in the details as I'm trying to watch and read what's happening. So I think that way would work a lot better. Anyways, what did you guys think about volume 29 of Attack on Titan? I'm almost caught up, guys. I'm almost there. I'm really excited to kind of reach the remaining chapters with you guys and get caught up, and then kind of just read them as they come out, as you guys are. So I'm really, really excited about that. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Please like this video as well. Subscribe if you want to stick around and see some more content. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you in the next video.